was not much life to it. So in Kubernetes, you have this idea of deployment, which contains pod replicas. I don't know really where it's stand, but um, and so in a stateless deployment, you have these replica pods that are kind of meant to be ephemeral and meant to be temporary. So there's no. However, even though you have pods constantly spinning up and being terminated, there is kind of a network footprint that we can explore in terms of the communication between pods. You come node to node, the request, monitoring the request from Ingress to the service and then to the pod. So that's kind of what we're going to do today. And so hopefully y'all will enjoy this kind of discovery. And hopefully everyone brought their laptops because this is kind of, play along. And hopefully you can join me in this discovery process and have some prizes at the end. So hopefully you could stick around. So if you are going to play along here, and I encourage you to do so, I think it will be more fun that way. I do have some kube configs to hand out. So for you people that have your laptops, I'll be handing out your own kube config to use, and you'll be kind of operating, and we'll be doing this together inside of your own namespace. So it's kind of fun. So I pre-provisioned an LKE cluster. LKE, for those of you who doesn't know what LKE is. Cool. Just want to gauge where we're at. So LKE stands for Linode Kubernetes Engine. So it's the Linode Managed Kubernetes Service. So Managed Kubernetes Service is where you don't have control of the control plane. You're not able to access the control plane at all. You just have access to the worker nodes. And so we'll be going through that in that lens. In that, you could spin up an LKE cluster very easily and very quickly. And even though you don't have access to the control plane, you do have the ability to spin up a cluster very quickly and have the ZNI pre-installed and everything ready to go. So that's what I've done for you today. So we're gonna to kind of alleviate the having to spin up a brand new cluster, because that would take a whole hour itself. I pre-provisioned the cluster for you, and we'll be handing out these kube configs. So to join me in this process, hopefully you can see that. Go to joinkubeskills.com/KCD, and it's free to sign up. And so this will give you access to the instructions for this workshop that we're doing. And also, if you complete a little challenge that I proposed, and we'll talk about that once we get towards the end a little bit more, I have badges to hand out. Kind of like Craigley badges. These badges are provided by Barracks. They're verifiable and verifiable and allow you to add this to your LinkedIn resume, LinkedIn profile, that's your resume, etc., etc. We do this a lot at Kube Skills community to encourage people to accept the challenge, get the kind of badge of honor, and then prove that to your boss, whether you're going for a promotion or trying to get a job at Kubernetes, etc., etc. So once you've gone to the joinkubeskills.com/KCD, so I'll do we'll be doing the fault. Okay. Joinkubeskills.com/KCD, and you log in. There's log in. Yeah. And if you don't have an account already, you can sign up. Not. So. Just really. So this is just what the Kube Skills community looks like. It's a powered by Circle communities, so it's kind of like Slack in that on the left-hand side you have all your channels. This channel is just called KCD Columbia Workshop 2025. So we just have 3 posts in there just to keep it simple. And once you get in there, what I first want you to do, so I can hand out these tokens for you to access the cluster that I pre-provisioned, go ahead and send me a direct message so I can send this to you in a message in this. So go in here to the direct messages in the upper right hand corner. You can look this and just start typing in chat or your 5 piece.
Algerian diğeri ezdi. Eso que se dice, is aga peitena me say so le ti la ki im ta mi sa ti to el test de que se ma is pe am
Cool. It's like most of y'all me on there, so it's good. All right, so cue the on-hold music while I hand these out.
cái sao gió nè có cái khó cái accident the space sister so how possible you turn out is a play in this the resistance see so big initiated we shall need chaos que like say it's para que se hablaría de puede la tumba saga de let's say the first of the best area it that's
So once you get these kube configs, just save it to your desktop and just make sure you take any extension that your computer may assign to it. So it just should be the name, no extension.
it's pretty series well on cable basis okay pretty so years so why so nice you're pretty is
So the kube config should be kube config workshop and then the name of a city in Colombia.
the minutes we was team back yeah no you that the stand up see but as a see hey skin get that here see hey So once I got kube-config, we just use it for just read.
Yeah, I mean you can wait, but if you want to skip ahead a little bit, you can set your kubeconfig variable to that kubeconfig, and then run the git pods in your namespace. The namespace that's the same as the file name, and you can test it out. You get
Just go fast, right?
no pods. You should yeah. One.
Okay. Easy. C'est cool. They're okay. They never pray. So, once you got up with the phone see, but it I need the channel, you put it out. You can do like the is it book config epo isn't that correct? Hello. This secretary. It's here is a bit it's because that was correct sticker. And it this is the slash that I did. Each one to this is massive. Genius. Was the down land words.
Yeah. Sorry, chat. That's need to be embedded in the Reddit space. So
Okay.
M GCC.
Yep. I got your message. I'll let everybody in.
wow.
Work is boom. That's Tanakos Baza. PK, see, there's we work I've got the Nino speed charge and chop. I'll put as damn this got the so that's okay. There it is. Cells.
The sausage. I don't have any resource sheet there. Yeah, we're gonna go through that together.
Put a CTL.
Get spots. A really get the yes, I'm not so dirty, but then I'm bad to see. This is what letters you do, the check. She's taki. Oh, no, this is where they do this. This.
Chat, but if someone asked for a user, is that common?
No, you should need user.
Okay. Does this one? Does what you is a bit seeing Leon? His name. He's just someone is the and goes get the order again. So come. Yeah.
It's the no the different hards and rights. I can figure out a good feature this.
That is good.
This big look easy that it's
약간 진짜 주보를 오래 따라오고 쓰다보니까 레스타일 디렉터리 제우 게스타일
Dubia teva que eu adia da citas. Number commonly every domain line image to what propose okay. Ayuda sistema ayuda
Yeah.
Ipa J species on
Haven't been. Oh. Keeps.
who does for an this
Direct nie pozemie.
some this is set a file
right? Save the file to downloads. Once you have the file,
Ingress Controller.
you run on your terminal config mayúscula, no como se habla en español. Mayúscula, equal, til, sound the til en español. Tilde.
No, es que desde aquí y
Sí, me saco el chancho, no morirle chancho.
Orico era ahí.
Ojito, el gorrito, el gorrito.
Barras, the slash, downloads, slash, and the name of the file just download some check. This which says,
Never.
and then you run after space, kubectl, get pods.
Si se te ayuda.
Oh, it. Okay. No change anything inside of the mire. It just close the file.
Andres,
Equal.
Andres, do you have San Andreas?
Yeah. Consensus slash
Sure, have enough. Dominoes? Yes.
in your file and the name of the file. Put config dash whatsapp dash italico. This is it.
Not that on in that. Yeah.
It's a termination by digit spec. See. Oh, it's try to use it just QSLS in this guy, Garaby Maron, is in like the official CDS is your generator. So we to look the S3 sky is passing Rito, chemist on sites, della pelle chiesa, Mama, LS, so it saves LS.
No space. Goli, que como os minutos no document limita assim que
Slash was downloads to the capital B on your school updates. Is this hit hampered? Is it use Windows but WSL? And I'm both that this shoots now. What is this? It's
Ton är sett still här, eller?
okay. LS
Possible. Yeah. See, or the scar. Really, right. So for you, it's gonna be pull the config, equal, and
the name of this file. So that about like all those most play stuff is it keeps the deals capital
all the datas.
so equal. Will you remove file? There it is. Code.ctl, Q.ctl, space, wait, get, space, reports.
Oh, you choose no BCP. Is never.
If you is using MacLab to do the GRU or something like this. So yeah.
Yeah, reinstall Kubernetes data.
Then you look at all videos with that we use now.
You have to Google how to install kubectl. Okay. Anyone else? Ayuda? Say you got.
Please. Okay. So, just because in Linux passports, they're very.
Does it sudo full CTL get parts? There's nothing yet because you still have to do review guys. That means that you reach out the server, the API entry point, list the pods, there's no pods, and just say there's no pods.
But you good, okay. And the access to your issues. Yeah, see. Sits. See.
Imperiality.
Yo, for see. Permissos. With it. Italy.
See Herman's Kazis. He would get the. así por family crea. Please don't release it.
Yes, let's keep resource states here. Yes.
Ayuda. Everybody moves to Kubernetes now. Thought you just go fake. Okay.
To this replicate working. Here.
And to recently the more we're gonna see this.
No.
Manda uma mensagem para Ricardo. Por favor, me mande o kube config. Chad, one more choose for you to send the kube config. So, okay.
So that's it. The another you to say see stuff is os faz na próxima passo lá e ver se B aí você tem que clicar terceiro que aperto e que você precisa de que tem isso com less wise related.
Oh no. Yes, sir. Have only one means.
Yeah. What always so this try to play with like no back for a the first she's so this could cut the table there but got the vaccine. This is a piece that ¿Alguien está perdido? ¿No? Okay. Which stage they should be? Getting out this copy.
And the reason why kubectl get pots.
Todos tienen su compit y han podido ejecutar kubectl getbox. ¿Sí? Todos.
Peace. Aim versus service.
Not the same.
Return on service. The library it is to voluntary is uses we could
There are that there's be with send this is our the variety.
Perdón, 40 de Poitsy. De this. No. Si se supone que esto también es harina, y ahí vamos a mirar a una. Y. You change the book config. As he do this commit to. Yes, nothing that you best come. Dancing. There's some what is choosing me to write about this. We should do. Yeah, are you sure you will
change everything inside of it? Yeah, what there is just like super config RGB. It's
Se supone que tu animada da un seguir. Good config equal. Entonces, no, ten approach. Pero en mi vista la 1155.
use weights inside. Use rate that atrás.
Cuando se terminara adelante, Jaime.
No. Unless, what's it? You understand the balance of variables.
Oh,
So, alguien está parado algún de one is processing or space this. He's gonna seize breads or bread command line. ¿Qué quiere hacer antes de que es bits y sí.
Tennis a bit brush.
GZ.
They have said something forever, but then they after this one. Go fade is the environment or else.
If you don't put the word export before, it's only gonna be thread for one command line. If you do put config in second command line, it's okay. If you wanna make it say, put the word like this. Export.
This is save across all community configurability config. Tienes asan? Es tiempo.
Isso vai ter que detrás. But so I don't know this.
Stick. Sí, tienes que dejarlo de algún lado, quemar la ruta, y hay una variable en torno que tienes que configurar con esa ruta, ¿sabes? Exportar variable en impact,
Porque no te trafía en el pues.
de esa manera la ruta.
Okay, so
Go ahead,
sorry.
go ahead.
Yeah, we're running out of time. So if you don't have your kubeconfig set up yet and everything, just follow along at the screen. And then I should have for anybody who hasn't been added to the group. So if you go over here, you should see this welcome thing now. Let me know if you don't have it yet. So
Sweet, yeah. Miss this. City Fireways. This year. This.
Hello,
enter again, just refresh. Or just go to cube, join qstos.com/busy.
You just see the amount. Done. That is this is the series. Got the debris.
Simple. Yes. Ôi, tu rồi, vì số vượt khinh. Mal, yeah, pausa. Get a bit. Yeah, so what the let's go. Yeah, this is one suicide to me. Oh,
Okay, so now let's grab this together. Sorry for the extended lull. Go there you go. All right, so first thing that we have here that we can observe. So if you'll set your namespace using the environment variable, so export ns equals, and then the name of your namespace. What is it? So the name of the namespace should be the same as the name of the kubeconfig file. Should be without kubeconfig. So workshop dash and then city name.
Oh, it's your. Anyway, each config has access only to one namespace, right?
Yes.
By the way, they should have by default the changes.
Say again?
They should have by default the names just here. Okay, you put it down. Because the nice they just have access well.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay. So what you anybody have valid card? Namespace? No? Okay. So once you get that set, you can dare.
You'll have everything done well.
That's probably why that the error couldn't get in after getting the.
Yes. We see you.
So,
Bye.
Mr. Bellamy,
See. Lucky bargain, not so what toss.
So now we could do get namespace or kubectl. I'll just write it out. So in your namespace get pods, and you should see no pods. That's because it's semi. Oh,
beautiful. To be more to be this. Because it's this. The number price is this is in a little bit. And it is a big part here.
When you about out, may have
So we do have a space, with the buddies. If there's I have the very after. This is the to the subjects honor as this does was thoughts. But police me able to say Captain Yachts, yeah. I very often maybe visual me get the busy because it's just a yacht. Because but it's an issue, but okay. It si enteri de esto es dice te quedates
The double is ish.
sí sorry sí dije
outcomes pensar versus out.
Yo say you mean is
este si te que pise te te
Oh, sans target support get talks. C'est ça, voilà. Ce qui nous est carrément
sistemare service of the works el post SDC para services y nosotros que si te son seats and things ahead it is it copy box y it's new is the
Easy.
sin this quizá que me moví de rutas
10.
así es c'est nous sommes système Paris regarde tu n'as pas juste dit
Earlier.
c'est ça Visitez chez nous. C'est ça, pour ça. Nos, arrêtez, so, c'est gris, désireux,
Okay. So once you download your kubeconfig, set your kubeconfig variable when you set your namespace variable with the NS. When you go kubectl or K for short, in the namespace, your specific namespace, get pods. You should see it in namespaces. In the Ingress Nginx namespace, you should see some pods running. Those are the Ingress controllers. So when you create an Ingress controller, with a load balancer type, or I should say, when you just install the Nginx Ingress controller via Helm, it'll automatically provision a node balancer. We call them node balancers LKE just because that's kind of the special distinction for what we provide as a node balancer in our cloud environment. Okay, nothing fancy. It's just this Ingress controller is a node balancer in Linode world. Okay, so here's where we're gonna go through the process of tracing a request coming in to the node balancer or load balancer. So let's skip that. So here's the request. It's gonna go from our DNS name to the LoadBalancer, to Ingress, to the service, and to the endpoint, and then to the pi. And we'll go through this together, okay? So let's do this. First thing we're gonna do is if we have access to this here, welcome to KCD Columbia 2025. We can scroll down and we can see the GitHub repo. That's been created for you. So in addition to the examples, space over here, you should have access to the repo as well. Just the public repo, so everybody has access. All right. So let me know if you are not at the repo yet. Sorry, I'm going a little bit fast because we're running out of time. All right. So once you're at the repo, let's go to the scripts, and we'll go through the scripts together. We already did the first one, set our namespace. So now let's go to deploy app. So I'll just view this like this, and make that a little bit bigger so everybody can see. And so here we're gonna deploy an app, just a sample app that uses the echo server, so that we can just get an echo back from our application, so that we can trace that request that we were just talking about. So in the manifest directory, we have in the app folder, we should have a deployment.yaml and a service.yaml. So let's check those out. Manifest, app, deployment. So I'll be this bra again. All right, so this is a deployment with 2 replicas. We're using this echo server image right here. Nothing too fancy. We're gonna pass environment variables so we could get information about pod, and then we're gonna expose port 8080. So when you go ahead and run that, we can just go copy that, you're viewing it in a raw format. And then we'll go back to our terminal. And then because there's some environment variables inside of this file, we can use we can canvas this out. Actually, I have the commands are in that script file that I was just mentioning, but just for the sake of time, I'm just gonna do a shortcut. Guys. So now we have in that namespace get deployment, comma, pods. And we should see our deployment of pods in 2 pods, 2 pod replicas anyway. So next, as a part of that script, we're also gonna deploy that service. So let's take a look at that real quick. So nothing fancy here, just a service that targets that port 88, which the container is exposed on, and then the port on the service itself is at a big. Yes, see. So let's go ahead and deploy the service. So now in your namespace, you can get deployments, pods, and services. You should have the trio. So this is how we're going to set up our little request following thing here. As a part of that, I'll just show you the endpoint slices real quick. So as a part of that service, each service has endpoint slices available to us. So we can add endpoint slicers. Fortunately, there's no personal shortcut to that. So you'll see endpoint slices, or endpoints as they had been previously called, are a way for the service to target those specific pods. And if you see in the endpoint slices and the endpoints, and you'll see the message about endpoints being deprecated, but you'll see the pod IP addresses. So if we just list out the pods with their IP addresses, so OY, you'll see this matches the endpoints and along with their the port 88 which they're exposed on. Just wanted to point that out as far as that request route that I just showed you that we're gonna do. All right, moving on. So right now we're gonna set another environment variable. Which is going to be our LPI key, LBI key. So this is going to be that Ingress Nginx Ingress controller that I just showed you. That's going to be the IP of that, and you can do this manually. Don't get too intimidated by that command. This is just getting the service, as you see. So kubectl and in the Ingress Nginx namespace, get service, and we're just getting this public IP here, this 172.233.2.125. So you could just as well, because it's the same for everybody, you could just as well do LB IP equals and then put in the 172.233 IP address. Okay, so now we should have our two environment variables, which are important. The namespace, of course, and then the load balancer ingress IP. Now we're going to deploy our ingress, and then our ingress. Now our ingress resource is different than our ingress controller because the ingress controller is what accepts traffic from the outside, and that directs it to the ingress resource. So ingress controller versus ingress resource, and so that we can direct the traffic, route the traffic rather, to the service. So all in here, the repo contains the ingress service as well. So just ingress SSLPIO, and we'll just use SSLPIO. If you're not familiar with that, it just gives us a DNS name. Which is our IP address .sslip.io, which is just a shortcut, so we don't have to configure DNS goals. All right, so now if you deployed that ingress, you should see the ingress resource just named web, and if you describe it, we'll see it's directing traffic to that web, that service also called web. And that here's the those replicas of that ingress control. All right, so as a part of our request, now that we have this ingress resource, we could follow that entire path through this DNS node balancer ingress service endpoint that pods. So let's go ahead and do that. We could just use date for that, which is a DNS tool, and then we should get back. Again, we're doing our fully qualified DNS name here, and we should get back the IP of our ingress controller. We can also use curl to do something similar, but we can get back more information in terms of the pod information that comes from those environment variables that we added to our pod YAML or our deployment YAML. And this host name here is the pod name, and here's the node that it resides on, the pod namespace. Oh, sorry. So there could be, that's another thing about sending this request. It could direct this request to somebody else's namespace, because if you're using that same load balancer IP for each person, we're going to have one. I thought that would be an interesting way to maybe capture some intercepts. Maybe somebody's making a request to the load balancer at the same time, and so we can run the logs on that load balancer to see if we had any collisions. More information about the request header. So this attaches the request header to that request. That request to get back more information. So, in summary, here's what we should get. We should get back the pod information, And going back to our diagram here, we've been following this along DNS, and that the node balancer or load balancer, ingress resource, service, the endpoint, and pod. This is what we should get back. And then again, just going through from more of a visual standpoint, here's a little diagram that kind of articulates this a little bit better. So the request information attaches that to the header, sends that along to the ingress resource. We have the this is a GET request to the Ingress controller. Ingress controller attaches that header to the ingress resource. Ingress resource sends it along to the service, and then we get back the pods that are associated with that service. All right, so moving on. Let's look at something from the inside of the pod. So let's go back to our command line here. And if you're not following along, that's totally okay. We're just running low on time, so apologies for that. Maybe one thing I could show you regarding those collisions I was talking about, be able to maybe detect them. I could just get the logs from that. I don't see any collisions here, but I can get the logs from that Ingress Nginx pod. So kubectl in that Ingress Nginx namespace, logs, and then the name of that pod. Just targeting that by its deployment name, and then grabbing out for any conflicts, rejects, or duplicates or hosts. And if we get a lot of hosts back, so that means that we did that a lot of requests from these various namespaces. Let's see. So yeah, that's how we can detect those requests coming into the cluster. All right, so let's look at things from inside the pod, shall we? So we looked at an external request coming into the pod. Let's go ahead and look at things from inside the pod and how requests are handled there. Let's go to the screen.
So do you mind elaborating on repeating conflict and the URL those full talks perhaps you gave?
So I grabbed for the conflict, which would represent two requests happening at the same time to the same endpoint. A reject, so if those collisions happen, there's one that's going to make it and one that's not. So one gets rejected. A duplicate, so again, just the tracking of both of those requests coming in at the same time. And then host, which in this case is giving back our host name.
We host name also. So what are the rules? Yes, confirm that those decisions.
Those aren't rules at all. They're just from the overall logs. So let's kick out the gut per second. Is that just Nginx? Yeah, that's just the Nginx logs. So from all these logs, I'm just shortening that a little bit so that we can make sense of what we're seeing, because it's a little bit hard to read, right? So these are all the logs. In order to get only some of the logs, I'm just doing a grep for those keywords.
So do you know Wikistia or something else?
To see, so we'll get similar logs, but they're a lot different because they're probably spread out from Nginx.
Really great. See?
You might. So, yeah, because it's all GET request, so probably would be similar. Okay, so you should have those pods in your namespace, right? So if we let's just do. So you should have two pods in your namespace that are running that sample app that we ran at the beginning. It's just exec into one of those. Exec. See.
What's your space for here?
Dash and then shell. All right. So now that we have a shell to one of those pods, we can we can get the IP address of that pod. Each pod has its own unique IP address, and you can see that right here. 10.2.1.152, and you can see also from the pod standpoint, because we had a shell to the pod, it looks like each 0, but this is just from a node standpoint an individual virtual or Ethernet address on the node itself. You can check out the racks with the IP route. And we should see a route that's taking from the pod. Again, this is routing to out to the tunnel 0. So this is a tunnel that the node creates, CNI creates rather, to route traffic from the pod to a CNI in order to make it out of the clusters. So this is kind of your gateway, if you will. The tunnel is represented here from our previous IP address. So that's the tie. We should be able to get our DNS info. So each pod has its own unique DNS.
Yep.
And these are the common names that are with any pod that you create in the cluster. And this is handled by core DNS. So if you're trying to reach this by its fully qualified domain name, for example, that core DNS will pick it up and be able to resolve it to its IP address. One, two more. That's okay. Thank you. So we can get a get ENT on our host, and we can see these are our host names. This is our etc host file essentially, and so we have this 10.128.0.1 resolving to those flip all that. And then last but not least, we can do it's not aware in my namespace, so you want to take this out of here, chopped it. So I can try to get the fully qualified name of my service. So in addition to those DNS names that we just looked at for the pods themselves, every service in Kubernetes also gets its own set of fully qualified domain names. So this is what we're doing here. We're reaching out to the service by its fully qualified domain name, hitting 480, and this is what we get back. And this is the same information that we got back before about the request information, request header, and all that. Or let's say you wanted to, well, it's not here. Is it? It's pretty well. Let's say I wanted to send a request to that other pod that's running on that other node, or yeah, should be running on a different node. We could check that actually. Add to head info way. I'll get to you one more second. Say. So yeah, they're running on 2 separate nodes here. You see one 2D3, one SD4. So let's say I wanted to get that pod IP address. Let's just we are in the J1, so let's get this pod IP address and go back into that container, into that pod. And then I'll do
Pues ya estoy saliendo. Para mí, con mi obligación, esos 4 me pesan 7 porque me viene el concepto.
8080 as esto. Bit port that the
Decir que como a 3
port that be supposed to container on. And then this is
Go to my. This is.
so this is similar information, but this is going out getting that other pod that lives on the other node, right? So the key difference here, and I have a little diagram for you to kind of showcase that, is okay. you can have multiple pods on the same node, right? So if this pod here was trying to reach out to a pod on a similar node, it would go out the virtual Ethernet and go into the node's network namespace and be able to resolve because it resides on the same node. If it doesn't reside for this guy over here that's on a different node, it has to go through the CNI. So if the pod's on the same node, it doesn't go through the CNI. If the pod is on the same node, it goes through the CNI. The CNI attaches, encapsulates this packet, this green circle, encapsulates the packet so it knows what destination it's headed for. This node decapsulates that, resolves the host name, and reaches that other pod. And that's kind of what we were seeing on the wget command to the outer pod. Go ahead.
So it's released from a local there. Visual unit is can you get
Yeah, so it's different if the pod is on the same node versus the other node. And your question going before?
So wanting to secure that trial, like well, have you ever done it or whatever you are?
That happens at the CNI level, and it's also there's something called memory policy.
But the issue we were could the certificates with those be might sign, or is there always tabers?
So usually in a cluster, you have all your nodes on the same subnet. So it would, I mean, that would be the case if you're going to another cluster elsewhere. But yes,
So usually won't go at the
you usually won't go that deep because the CNI takes care of that for you in terms of the packet from node to node, and then you have network policies which define parameters for it's kind of like a security group or a firewall that allows you to walk certain ports and insert traffic from one pod to the other. And then there's also a vision control, which is something you use a tool like Hibernal or OPA Gatekeeper to secure the track that way as well. Okay, so that's all the time I have for. I do want to mention one more thing. If you did want to receive a badge that I mentioned before, the instructions for obtaining that badge are in this same channel. So here, in order to get a badge from me, and you could just, again, send me a message on the KubeSkills community. So I just require two things. Run the following command from your namespace, which is that curl command that we ran earlier, and just send me the output. And then also delete a pod at the same time as getting the namespace or getting the endpoint slices. So the instructions are here. So while you're getting those endpoint slices and you're deleting the pod at the same time, those endpoint slices should subtract from the from those pod IP addresses and then add in the new pod as it's joined back into the deployment of this. So yeah, the instructions are all laid out here. If you have any questions, do let me know. But would love to give you a badge for all your hard work today. And then also, sorry, almost forgot, we have these to hand out. So I don't think I mentioned this, but I'm author of the book called Acing the Certified Kubernetes Administrator Exam. Thank you. This was my co-author, Wafa. And so here's the book cover. So the CKA, Certified Kubernetes Administrator Exam, is a well-known exam, is one of the first, qualifies you for Kubernetes administration. And so we'll hand these out so you can get 50% off of this book by using the code KCD Columbia 50. So, and we'll leave these out at the table out here too if you want to come by with a previous this.
Doesn't Jenny do
So that is
All right, everybody, good. I have plenty if you want, so anyway.
Yeah, help us to leverage.
Yeah, if only book writing was lucrative, sure. Okay, thanks everybody. And if you want to go to that lab again, too, it's also repo, so feel free to do that on your own side as well.